Yes. All right, here we go.
Right.
I am here with Sheila Walsh-Dunton. We have the same married last name,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't think
Kind of
mine.
funny. We're not related.
No, we're not. We should be, though. We could be. We
I
look
know.
alike.
Yeah.
And Sheila, I'm going to let you take over, but has this very unique perspective, and I think something that can be valuable to our community at large right now, because one, she focuses on nutrition and how feeding the body properly opens you up to being able to process and be more successful in everything you do. But two, she is a homeschool educator and has a background in education. So tell us everything, Sheila. We all need tips.
Okay. All right. Well, so yeah, my name is Sheila, and I currently am a homeschool teacher for an online charter school. And before that, concurrently, I've been a nutritionist, focusing really on food as medicine. And it's really like healthy bodies, healthy minds.
Yep.
And so it is a kind of a marriage. And so my website, my business is Purple Beet Family. Mm-hmm. I used to be just Purple Beet Nutrition, but now with this homeschooling piece, it's been really kind of coming front and center that it's really a marriage of the two. It's really like healthy foundations for the entire family, so that we really can spend good quality time with our family and kind of living and learning together. Yeah. I came up with a kind of a term that's kind of encompasses it all, and it's called family school. And it's, really like living and learning together. And that's really what we're giving this pause. It's been an opportunity to really do that, to listen to each other and to really be present and to enjoy, to see if we can find those silver linings and enjoy being present right now.
Yeah. So what do you think? I mean, I know that what do you think affects the body in the most positive way? Like, do you, and the mind, like concurrently, as far as like nutritional values, scheduling, like how do you, my biggest challenge at home has been keeping Elia on a schedule, making sure that she's able to learn. And then also, like, we half the time feel like we're on vacation. And when I'm on vacation, my nutritional values go out the window and I'm like, we're free. So we have been breaking our normal routines and patterns, and I can feel it. I can feel it emotionally. I can feel it mentally. I feel a little bit more drained than I would if I was. So what would you suggest? What are you doing at home?
Yeah. Well, first off, I'd like there's a saying, like space and grace. It's like giving yourself that space right now to feel that we don't know what's going on. It's like we are on a little bit of a staycation of sorts, but we are also feeling the pressure of the everyday,
right.
Of what needs to get done, the schooling and stuff like that. So I kind of have used, putting structure around what is important and really finding your flow, because like the natural rhythm will kind of take over,
right.
The natural rhythm of like, well, okay, well, the meals are important, and the learning time is important. The outside time is important. The family time is important. So when you have those kind of touchstones, you're able to kind of, weave together those important things during your day. I have been a homeschooling parent for 10 years. No, I'm not homeschooling right now. Right now, my kids are currently all in schools.
I was going to ask that.
Doing their online learning. But because I've been a homeschool parent and did it for 10 years, I kind of like now it's just, I'm okay to let it go, because I have seen how resilient our children are and how learning looks different. Learning doesn't necessarily always look like what it does in the classroom. And now they're home and they're trying to kind of still keep that classroom, which works for a lot of kids. Right. However, I don't think it's the most important thing. So if you have a child that is not doing that, I'd say give that space and grace and do what's called like project-based learning. It's like kind of following their passions. And then next fall, when we get kind of a new normal, things will start up again. But every day we are learning, and that's kind of the family school, living and learning together. It's like yesterday, my daughter was outside in the front yard and collecting looking at blue-bellied lizard. Yeah, that our cat had caught. She rescued it, started looking at it, and then we started like looking it up. We got online, started looking it up, look at what it eats, the habitat, everything. Well, that's science right there. And then you could take it a step further and you could write a little bit about it. So it's like every day. And I think that's from being a homeschool educator. It's just that comfort and knowing that
Mm-hmm.
it's all going to be okay. It
Well, it
really
sounds like
is.
you're taking experiences and tying them together. Like you said, like it didn't stop by just having her rescue the blue belly lizard. You then had her research to learn about the habitat and what it needs, and then taking it a step further, writing about it or writing about the experience or what she's learned.
Exactly.
It's really
Yeah, and
a
then she, yeah,
way to
and
learn.
then she can talk about it, and so you learn, you have all these skills, and then you're like, oh, she is learning, but it
Right.
really, it didn't look like,
A
a
classroom
little,
environment.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. So that's kind of, and because I'm used to that,
Yeah.
that's what we've been doing. So my kids have really been sleeping in a lot,
Yeah.
and that we've been up later doing a lot of family game nights, a lot of kind of experience, we have the badminton court up in the front yard, and just
Yeah.
really kind of playing and stuff. And
That's awesome. That sounds really fun. And I think we get so wrapped up in our heads that our education is supposed to look a certain way and fit into a certain box, that as soon as something like a pandemic shifts the way that our kids are learning and we're learning, it's like, how do you wrap your head around it, and how do you flow with it? And I think that's beautiful that you just take an everyday experience and turn it into a lesson without being like, you're learning right now, but it's just like naturally flows into that, which is super great.
yeah, and it's the power of observation, like just going outside and like the birds, the sky. I mean, like you can really look at anything in the scientific world, or in like even social studies, cultural, and really kind of make asking questions, and just
Right.
and then go having those be the stepping stones, and then you get onto YouTube, and then you get, I mean, like you can really go deeper into
Yeah.
all these different subject matters that make it okay if they're not listening to the class. Because what I've heard from the teachers, and I have 3 kids, 3 different schools, 3 different classes, 3 different learning,
Wow. That's a
yeah,
lot.
going on, that they're managing. I'm not really managing, but I'm hearing, and we're discussing, and it's just like, what I've heard is that the teachers are being awesome. They're being flexible too, which has been really hard for them, but they're really saying, if this isn't working for you, do what works for you. And so that, because for some kids, they're loving the online stuff, and that's fine for them. But for a lot of kids, I think parents are feeling that stress
Yeah.
of not being enough, or I'm doing this, and especially like working, like you, like both parents and me, but both parents that are working,
Right.
and trying to figure it out, like where do you find the space and the time to do that?
Right. Yeah. And I beat myself up about it all the time. Like, I should be doing more and helping her more, but like I have to also work.
No.
And normally, like, several hours of the day she's at school and somebody's teaching. So
Yeah. And
that's
I would say, like I said earlier, like the space and grace, Shamika, like you are doing awesome, because she's seeing you, work and do what you need to do. And she's learning. I mean, they're observing us. They're observing how we are handling it. So then it's like the mama self-care is really important. And that's where the nutrition comes in. That's where, for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I've noticed myself, I'm eating more sugar. I'm eating more, like foods, easier foods sometimes. And it's just that constant reminder of the balance,
right.
so making sure, like I'm bringing in a lot more fermented foods, and bringing in, probiotic foods to help my immune system, and, making sure hydrated, make sure outside time, making sure that, that I'm taking care of myself, because it hasn't been easy, like when we first started. It's been
I know. Yeah, it's rough. It's really rough. So did you used to be the type of family that would do meal plans, like a weekly meal plan, or do you do that now? Has that ever been your thing, or you're just like,
I've probably meal planned, I'd say occasional, a few times. I mean, we definitely, like every Tuesday, I definitely put on a pot of beans in the Instapot. We'll have tacos, burritos, and we'll make a few burritos for the next day or so.
Yeah.
Like that's definitely there. We definitely always have like a rice stir fry veggie dish once a week as well. And then, we fill in here and there, but we're pretty much, we eat pretty healthily, but I don't like, I don't, beat myself up, because I think that stress of the shoulds and everything is going to be more harmful. And, one thing, like the kids getting the veggies and everything like that, like I make sure that they get them in some form or another throughout the day. And one of the things I've been doing is, our family are big fans of popsicles.
oh yeah.
And so I bought a like a new set of popsicles like in December or January, which is kind of funny, like why in the winter? But I did. And what I do, yeah, exactly. I do the I do smoothies, like power smoothies, and that's where I always hide. Like I'll put the spinach in, or I've been using Four Sigmatic mushroom blends, and I've been using I make this vegetable broth, and I put that in there, like the super mineral veggie broth, and they don't even know, because then I just put in lots of frozen strawberries, blueberries, banana, stuff like that. So,
and they eat it up and they love it.
Yeah, totally.
That's a great idea. So I took that beautiful bit of advice about the experiential learning. What would you give us as far as advice goes? Like, I like the popsicle tip, but like being able to continue our normal, like high nutritional value meals in this strange time of like, I feel like I have less time now that I'm at home.
Isn't that funny? I know, and people feeling more tired, and I think it comes in waves. I would say the fresh food, going to the farmer's market, I really think like that is really been really important. The asparagus right now, and eating seasonally is really good. And so just really going there and doing that. The oranges are great right now, and the greens, and just really trying to sneak them into your sauces.
Yeah.
That's kind of what I'm kind of a little bit sneaky. I have an older son, and he eats all the veggies, but my younger one's not as good, even though, they're like, Mom, it's such a pain that you're a nutritionist. And I'm like, I know, sorry, but you'll thank me later. I used to have them, every day they'd have at least a spoonful of sauerkraut, and that's gotten a little bit, I don't do that as much, but it's still there, making sure that they're eating fermented foods. Like, that's my tip. It's like fermented foods, the bone broths, the soups, the vegetable soups are really good. And for ease, like lentils and legumes and everything are really good right now.
I think, that's been like you said, the quick snack, and then like trying to make it both nutritional and nutritionist and nutritional. What is the word?
Nutritious or nutritional.
Nutritious and quick. Like that's hard. And like food, right? Like you can eat an apple and then 20 minutes later you're hungry again.
Yeah, and it's using also if you do breads and crackers and stuff like that, using those as carriers for good healthy fats.
Right.
So making sure that you're not just, because what I'm a believer in, like, food is medicine. And so everything you should be eating should have some nutritional value to it.
Absolutely.
And so, so really kind of thinking about that. So they're not just eating empty calories.
That's
and
cool.
Then when they have healthy bodies, they're going to be resilient. So they're not going to get sick.
Right.
And then they're going to have healthy fats. It's like brain food. And so then they're going to be wanting to be engaged. And it's, I'm here, and it's just like, it's never perfect. Okay. It's never people go, oh my gosh, Sheila, you did eating like this all the time. And it's no, I just made an amazing ice cream sandwich last night.
I bet it was delicious too.
Oh, it was so good.
Was there hidden vegetables in it?
Absolutely not. So you got to have fun too. It's the first time I made that.
Oh, sorry.
I said it's the first time I made that. My girlfriends and I are doing a Zoom cooking show every Monday night, so we share a recipe.
Cool.
Yeah.
But that's what you learned. That's not what you taught.
Yeah, that's what I learned last night. So I made it last night. So we make it together. Yeah.
So if people go on your website, do you have recipes that they can pull from, or what will they find?
Yeah, on my website. Well, I'm kind of in the redevelopment stage. As I said, I'm going from Purple Beet Nutrition to Purple Beet Family, and I did have a blog there with a bunch of recipes. The beet kvass, the bone broths, kind of the really foundational nutritional food for food is healing, medicine. Food is medicine. But there will be more up there for sure. I have a Facebook group called the Mom Map, which is really kind of nutrition and homeschooling, home education.
Oh, cool.
And please do.
I will. Okay. So we'll send your information out with this so that they can look you up and find tips. And then if they want to reach out to you, do you do any one-on-one
Oh yeah, I do it all. I'm just wanting to really empower moms to know that they can, if they want to set up optimal learning environment, maybe they're thinking about homeschooling in
Right.
the fall. This is like something they might want to do. So I have a handbook, a homeschool handbook
Oh,
that
cool.
that they can do that I just made. It's like 40 pages long. That's basically nuts and bolts of how to homeschool. And
Wow.
then, and then it's
You are
also
like
kind of,
so prepared for this.
I know I started that book in October and then it actually released in April. I'm like, I didn't time this, everybody's
Wow.
homeschooling now.
Wow.
So, but it's exciting because I think for some people it's a really good fit, and
Okay.
so,
Yeah. And is that
yeah.
accessible? Like, how do they order that? Is that on your website as well?
It's on my website under Purple Beet Family, under Family School. I
Okay.
also have a podcast. I've done, we're on a third season of our podcast called The Moms I Know,
Yeah,
which
I saw
again
that.
is, which again is basically, it's intentional parenting, like focusing on healthy families,
Yeah.
so that, just like what you do. I mean, I've been loving your video series and involving your daughter and everything, your husband, it's just like, that's what you're the epitome of it, like family schooling,
Yeah.
living and living,
I know. I think that in our society, though, no matter what we do, like, well, for me anyways, I'll speak for myself, but for me, everything that I do, I always like hold myself at an impossible standard. And it's no different now that we're at home. I'm like horrible at everything because I can't give anything 100% of my attention. And I just like need to relax, and space and grace is a beautiful term.
Isn't that funny? We're our own toughest critics, because I see you and I'm like, oh my gosh, she's doing all of this. I mean, you've been so awesome for your clients and everything, showing up and constantly being present and being seen and not, and so I appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
We are our own
I
toughest
think you're
critics.
doing great.
Yeah, thank you. That means a lot to me. It is like I sometimes at the end of the day, I have to actually write down like my victories or like what was amazing about that day, because I'll like end the day thinking I got nothing done well. Like I yelled at Elia because she was doing something that was bothering me. I didn't get everything on my to-do list for work done, and my garden's not planted, and I ate a quesadilla for dinner. Like nothing
Mm-hmm.
perfect. And it's like really hard to recognize that. And I think actually like communicating and having a support group and a network of people, especially moms, because I think moms are in a totally different boat than anybody else based on my experience of talking to other moms. It almost feels like infancy, right? Like you're the person that provides, don't do that. Just kidding. You're the person that provides your baby's nutrition in the very beginning. So now it's like, now we're home again, but we haven't stopped doing all of the other elements that would allow us to be like a stay-at-home mom or something like that. It's like everything is encompassed. And I think having a support group and having supportive mothers is a huge big thing. Not that fathers aren't important
No, but it falls on, I mean, let's be honest here. A lot of it falls on the mom,
Yeah.
I mean, I have a fabulous partner and who does a lot, but it's just like the decision, I mean, the holder of like, we hold the time.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
we hold all that. And that's a lot, especially during this time right now.
Yeah.
And so I think the emotional, we hold the emotional, that too.
Mm-hmm.
The emotional well-being of our families. And so
I'm
think
gonna have
it's
to give
really,
my husband credit for that. Actually, I'm terrible at that. I'm like,
I think I think it's important during this time to just try to be really present.
Yeah.
And to try to just to not be too hard on ourselves, because I think it's hard right now. We're human and this is really, really hard.
Yeah.
And just, it's okay. Like Glennon Doyle, one of my favorite authors, says, we can do hard things. And it's true. We are doing that.
I like her. I read something she wrote. She was really beautifully spoken.
Oh, I love her. I've been a fan for many years now, and she's just came out with her third book, Untamed, and she's just her voice is getting louder. Yeah. And that's the thing. I mean, her whole thing was like, life is brutal, the brutal and the beautiful. Yeah. And once we show our vulnerability, then we're going to realize how I don't want to say equal playing field, but how equal we are.
Right.
It's just like, and she was talking to moms. of just
Yeah.
like our families aren't perfect. There's a
Yeah.
lot going on.
Yeah.
And the work I do acknowledges, yeah, we're not perfect. However, what we can do is be in that muck together, you know, and I'll help you walk through that struggle together because, you know, I've seen it, I've done it, and it's
Well, and I think when you feel supported and not alone in what you're experiencing, there's like a whole new element of like sanity, really. Like, oh my gosh, okay,
yeah.
I don't have to reinvent the wheel. The other mothers are going through the same things that I'm going through and having the same feelings. And I think they're like just not having a community, having like that basis for support it's huge in everything we do. And I think now more than ever because of the circumstances and the uncertainty and not knowing what's going to happen next week and dealing with children and husbands and wives and families and work and, you know, everything is just compiled one thing off over and over again, that it's just like the support is tremendous.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That's cool. I'm going to check out your podcast and I'm going to send everybody your information and hopefully,
thank you.
Yeah, hopefully you can be our saving grace.
Yeah, and it helps save me too.
Yeah. Thank you,
Thank you.
Sheila. I'm going to stop recording.